Are we live yet?
Yes, we are.
All right.
We just getting flued out, y'all. We're already back. We've been here twice today. It's me, the Cosmic Mama, hanging out with my girl Terry Smith out in Winnipeg, y'all. She's still looking glamorous as she did this morning. Me, my lipstick is gone. So anyway, and we're here hanging out with Mr. Karl Dorey, SSP survivor. This gentleman has discovered in 1995, due to some latent patterns in behavior about his trauma and history in SSP, going to Mars and participating in several programs. But the basis of the show was just discussing how this journey actually, enduring certain abuses, has triggered certain emotions that came from nowhere else but this. And this was the evidence for him that this is real, right? So, because we talked about what is real, what's real for some people, but some people can question that. But then where does the trauma come from if it's not real? You know what I mean? Why this certain thing triggers trauma? Because is it based on true memories or not? And so we've been discussing this for the last few days with Matt out in the Matrix Minds, and we're going to discuss it more with Matt and Ava. But for tonight, Karl, you're a person with a technical background. You're a very studious and intelligent person. I really enjoyed talking to you because we talked about climate change too. And it was like he had all the facts. And I was like, these were things that I just had studied and learned. And he was just like knocking it out. And I was like, man, this guy really knows what he's talking about. He's like a genius. So, and we got to meet during that Full Disclosure Now, and I'll pull that up, Full Disclosure Now conference. He was one of the speakers, and I was able to do the Q&A for him and end up listening to his story, meet Misha, who she helps lots of people with their memories. And I guess you can see it here, the Full Disclosure Now website with fulldisclosuremovement.org, where you can go on. You can still get the live stream for $77, which is really reasonable, and it's like over 30 speakers that they had, and then you have the clips. Yeah, you can check it out. Check out what the event was about. You can even see things about the vendors that were there. Laura, Christopher Jacobs, who I had a session with, Matthew Morning, where, man, he had a class, and he had his first appearance as a speaker. It was a great time. Let me see. I don't see me on here. Johnny Enoch, plenty of people. Thanks to Brian and oh, there goes me. I like when I see y'all. I like when I see me. But Brian, Singh, Drago, and Ida put together an amazing event. And you can see the speakers. You can go on the site. You can see it. Brooks Agnew, which I love. He talked about mining on the asteroids and things like that. Of course, Akeem Ra, Julia came with Tartarian history. It was great talking to her. Susan, her first speaking appearance, and Misha here helped with your memories, and there she is on the screen. So I'm going to stop sharing that. And Karl, what was going on with you 1994, 1995 before everything came together for you? Or just, I don't know if you would like to start with how you
before 1995 July 1st range, my emotional state was pretty good, but I was mind controlled not to know about a working partner, being picked up, doing things as with a teenager, some nasty stuff with teenagers. Basically, from 5-6, there was testing, and they trauma tortured me to have a split personality in time to make Alan 354. Then they gave me and my alter in the same body. They gave me an implant in the center of my head, back of my top of my spine, back here. It's amazing when they put the one in my head. They opened up my skull like a flower pot with their amazing technology, and then resealed everything up again, and then I could communicate with them. And from there to about 13 was just seeing how the implant and what my mind can do with it. So I was picked up once to see, I was shown a tablet computer screen. A mantis did it, and he just looked at me and scanned me of what I remembered from the screen. There was alien numbers.
I might be off. So how did you end up having the surgery? Did you actually go into a physical hospital or?
No. They pick me up. It's a 2 to 3 story UFO. They come pick you up. They pick me up to get into the craft. They put me into it looked like a tire tube that you go down the river with, but that was for going in the light beam to go through the floor of the craft. And then I was tied down very tightly to a operating table with the grays on the side and a tall gray. The tall gray, as they were doing this, put his left hand on my chest, looked in my eyes, or else I'd be freaking out, because a strap around my skull, around here, that opened up my skull like a bowl. And with the same type of black strap technology, they pulled up my brain and put it into a bowl on the instrument table side.
So you can see the whole time. There's no sedation. Is it?
No
is
pain. There's no pain. It's like you do this to your arm. You can still move your arm. You can still feel it, even though it's not attached. I don't know how it's done. So they put the brain back in, closed the thing up. There's a cable for a few minutes to get all the chemicals and the all the liquids right.
For you, did you experience that as a memory, or do you remember it from just
from regression?
Got it.
Now, what is from memory is the beam of light they used to go through walls. At 13, 14, when they came to ask me to join to work with them, they didn't remove that memory. I was in my bedroom praying by my bed with a bright 100-watt light bulb in the room. This light beam came through the wall, the ceiling, made this thing look like nothing, but didn't shine past the dimensions of it. It was a big round beam of light with a center that looked darker. Initially, I just saw it coming in, and then it disappeared. Later on, when I recovered the memory, it didn't just disappear. A couple of grays came, picked me up, put me in the beam, brought me into let's call it the transport room of the craft. And that's where they said, look, see that thing in the air over there? It's like a big, a ball that big, about white and black, moving, the lights on it moving. I went over there and it became a 7-8 foot tall mantis. And it was virtual reality, but I didn't know what at the time. And the mantis showed me an environmental thing that I should be helping with the planet. And I said yes. I didn't ask what was going to be I had to do and what was going to be part of it. But the neat thing was, I asked, can I feel its hand? 3 big claws and a thumb. And it felt like I was touching him. And then he touched my head. I got sent home. Bit more, somewhat 50 about the History Channel one, but the eyes were more slanted, and the nose part was like 3 or 4 slits in where the eyes came down to a point. So basically, once I was done with the mantis, I got one of the grays showed me this little piece of gold, this gold tablet the size of a cell phone, and it had inscribed pictures in it, stars, ships, and if you look straight at it, you got a 3D effect. But he wanted it back. And then he sent me home. But this time, when he sent me home, see, once I got the implant in my brain, I can go in the beam of light without any physical help. So once they got me back to my bedroom, this time the gray asked me if they could come back. And I said yes. Well, my alter did. And then I was now part of a space cadet in the secret space program. So next I had to get 2 more implants, a partner, and a course. And that's just that was neat. Shall I go on?
Oh, yes. So how many years would you say that was happening to you? Over what period of time?
Age 5, 6, I can remember. At 13, 14, they said, do you want a job? Started training, working. By 30, 32, the PTSD, trauma, and other stuff got to me that I had to heal me, not just Alan 354. We needed to heal.
So if they were informing you of your purpose, right, of helping other people.
I was working for a secret space program as first of all, right after the course and getting a partner, something a bit nasty. We won't go into much detail, but it was a bit of sex slave program for a short while. That's not very nice to talk about, though.
So Terry had a question.
Hey, Terry.
So, when this was happening to you as a young child, did you talk about it to your parents?
Up until 30, that light beam I saw as a religious thing at 13, 14. And the strange thing is, at the same time, I was having speech impediment problems, stuttering. And right after that, I was in high school, I got a course to help my speech, help me talking and not stutter so much. So I tied something that, hey, they helped me out.
And someone said that you did 320 in backs, they said?
One I know of, and the rest are, let's say, a week or two. What I know of so far, it's like a week there for a course. I wasn't gone for a week as a teenager. On Mars, wasn't for 1 or 2 days. In my mid-20s, me and Jeff went to Mars by a jump gate. And we got to see, it's like I have a video in me, several, but I only have a few minutes or seconds of the video that I remember, that I'm allowed to remember. So some of the Mars stuff is really neat, but I don't know everything that was going on. We did play tourist, me, my friend, and two of the soldiers, and we left the base, went down a dirt road to see some ruins, and found a mini dinosaur, Brontosaurus, in the ruins, which it didn't bite us. We were happy with that. What else?
So you were noticing some of the things, like some people, their kids go to the special program for gifted and talented kids, and did you and they begin to notice like changing behavior, bedwetting, things like that. So you actually went through exhibiting some of those signs, right? Like you were having these issues, like all of a sudden you had a speech impediment, right?
That
Were there?
came on. That was there for a while. I had a bleeding nose for a while. That wasn't good. It was getting. It wasn't fun when you got to hold your finger to your nose to stop your nose from bleeding. And,
so Megan got. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And basically, after they took her sperm one time, right after the technique of taking sperm, when you go for a pee, it hurts like hell and bleeds. There's blood in their urine and it hurts. Was that too much?
No, it's not. One person, well, Megan, what she said was that she picked up this, that you were actually having 320 in backs instead of 1. And then David Nash said that he was asking, did you meet Corey Good or Emery Smith at all?
I don't remember them. Who I remember, the faces I can remember, is the man that tortured me as a 5, 6-year-old to split personality, and for some reason, my SSP boss, when I was working on the 20 year back from 1995, his face is clear as a bell. Very serious man. Don't screw with him. Do as you're told, basically.
So, do you consider the mantis beings positive beings?
I don't know. It's not. He was nice to me, but I was one of the workers.
So the concept for us, we have a very solid concept of positive and negative and good and bad. And even though they're telling you that you need to help other people, but a part of what you're doing is actually being abused in some way, right?
Well, once you're in a program, you do as you're told, when you're told, or as a teenager, you found out you were given immediate hard pain for about a minute, and you'll get the point not to question.
So what was your role? What was the job that you were trained for?
Initially, it was before 1995. There's the stint as the beta sex slave. Then came an interesting one. I was a soldier in a team to help recover crashed UFOs. And I have memories of 3 different crashes that I was part of. After that, the memory I have is some training on Mars. There's some plants there, some trees and plants there. And there's a small mini dinosaur, a brontosaurus on there. There's ruins that look like they've been melted probably by nuclear war. But other valleys that there's no damage. But the buildings are so old that the ground is filling them in. And basically, there's nothing left of the steel, glass, or wood, whatever they used. It's just stone that's left. And after that, so you don't have all that memories. So out of 1994 range, the next job was me and my partner were tested on Mars. We were outside and inside the base was on the surface. You could go in the middle of the day when it was warm outside without any breathing material. But it sounds like just don't try and run a lot or lift or do much lifting. But basically 94, 95, me and a partner, we were asked if we wanted to become officers and fly craft. So we did a test. The test was to put on a ball helmet on some base in the States and fly a drone as if you were flying. And we did that. That was fun. But the more fun one was we got to fly a used UFO that was a bit scratched up. We went in there, sat in the chair, we'll come up with what a trip chair is. Basically, you just sit in the chair and you fly it by virtual reality in your head. So we flew that craft. We did what we had to do, and we earned ourselves a 20-year and back to become officers, to fly other craft and do, there's work. You got to still do what you're told, but you get nicer things and you're treated better. So in my 20-year and back with being an officer, at some point, my partner and I were in a craft and we hit another UFO and another craft. Details I don't like to talk about. My partner was killed, as far as I know. I was almost killed. And they got me out of the craft. Let's say it's partially alive AI. So it could fly enough and got me back to the surface of Earth, where some people helped me out.
And where were you going?
Where was I going? We were just flying around the outside of the planet, looking for people and watching.
So, like you said, they didn't use rockets. What kind of vehicle did you all use?
The general term is anti-gravity, even though I'm not sure if it's that. You sit in a nice chair. The computer connects to your brain. You see a control panel, you see a window, you see, you may think you're moving a hand, maybe you are, and you fly the craft and you are in a tin can, but it's only dangerous if you hit something at high speed. Then the anti-gravity doesn't help you too much. You still get splatted around. So you can go from hovering at 5 feet above the ground, go straight up, Mach 3, stop, left turn, right turn, accelerate, stop, go left, and you're not going bouncing off the wall. It's as if you're just sitting in a chair.
Now, Christopher, I know he always has great comments, especially because this is kind of what I was coming for when it came to the Mantis being, is with the Mantis Council. Morality for humans are strict social, more to keep emotionally unlearned from their animalistic tendencies. Positive and negative are directional focus. We have no morality, but balance we have. Our balance might not be yours, but that is what leads to different social matrices to being incompatible with one another. What we think is adequate for social balance might not be what you think is adequate for social balance. We see long term, whereas you see short. And I think that's very much true for most beings outside of this realm, is that there's no solid what is good and what is bad. There's the purpose and the ends to a means.
I see it this way. One perfectly nice culture may say, for example, it is okay to smoke and do certain things in front of kids and have kids start doing certain things sexually at whatever. Other cultures say no. And when other people from other cultures meet them and disagree, they just don't share their practices in front of each other. And they learn off each other too. The one that they've just said does this may look at another culture that, say, beheads their prisoners, and they may find that sickening. So if we work together and don't try and at least talk and solve problems, that'll help.
So I don't know if you're able to go on with where you were in your story, because we're not at Mars yet. We're just cruising around this planet and talking about the things you did here. There is someone that said that you've had a regression hypnosis, but more so that it wasn't necessarily that it was SSP. It's a different system. It's a different program than SSP, but there was 320 and backs that you are definitely.
I know of one, but the other stuff, how long that was, I don't know the distance of, I don't know how long that was. I just have little bits of memory from each one.
And so she was stating that you definitely had 320 and backs, but then she was also stating that you definitely, she's an extremely good reader. Megan is in the chat and she's reading, and she said that definitely the MK Ultra program, but possibly something different from 20 and back. But I'll let you go on with your story.
Okay. Basically, when Mars stuff is limited, we go to become officers. There is, let's try some of this. As officers, we could also work on planet Earth with looking like men in black suit, black ties, black that, and there's a memory of going into someone's office with computers where me and a coworker went in, and basically I had to go put a little device in a computer and take out information. I did this, my alter did this right beside a supervisor and one of her co-workers. When they looked at me and said, "Who the hell are you?" Without saying a word, I mentally said, "Ignore me, go back to your office, there's something to do, you'll leave me alone." And they did. I got the information, I walked out of the office, me and the man went into a coffee shop down the road. We were where a black car met us, and I handed off the information to my boss. Now, after my friend was killed, I was healed up, but basically I couldn't work in the flying part anymore. So I went to was probably the White Sands area of the U.S. Air Force Base. I don't know the name of the base, sorry. But I worked at this Air Force base as a junior officer, lieutenant at least, and I would go into a room with a couch, a coffee table, and a couple of chairs. I would be given forward loaded with information of my target that day, and I would leave my body. I would find the target. If the target was to give a heart attack, I would give that person a heart attack. If it was to, say, find 3 bombs on a truck in a forest, and hopefully do something if I find them. So I found the bombs, I found the truck. And just by luck, there's a guard on the bus, on this truck. So I took over the guard body, used my skill with being attached to the spirit world, let's call it, and I made sure the bombs would not work properly. So after that was done, I left the guard sitting on his little stool in the corner, thinking he was daydreaming about his mother or aunt. And I flew away back home to my base. And the first time I remembered one of these sessions, when you come back, you are debriefed. There's a psychologist, your boss, and there's a psychologist, a new man there. I picked up his, thinking this is all crap. When I was finished, he was thinking he's scared that I could leave my body, my alter can, and go out and give people strokes and heart attacks. And I don't like, it's not a very positive thing to think about. So, oh yes, doing this over a while, 2 years or so, does not leave you emotionally happy. And so one day in the officer's mess, I went nuts and I went angry, just angry, rage. They couldn't stop me except punching me out. And I was sent home to heal. At first, to heal, I had to know about ETs in my life, but I couldn't know much information because that would be way too much. And there's sort of rules on dealing with history, but also part my emotional state. So for the first 15, 16 years of being home, I could not remember the good stuff, the bad stuff, the great stuff, the flying. I could remember only little bits of very few things, basically. And then I was allowed to do hypnotion regression, and it started coming out drip by drip by drip. You'd get a good one, you'd get more memories. You get a bad memory, you got to deal with it. You get more memories. I was in the back of a car of one of my in-laws' car on a sunny day, and I remembered flying a UFO. And so I went through hypnotic regression and fleshed that out, and that was really neat. So now I'm me, I'm Karl. There's a part of me is a little boy that was tortured, who's still around and has emotions. There's a teenager who was forced into doing things he didn't want to do. There's, of course, Alan 354. And maybe there's more. There's a few more details, but that basically some of the stuff, most of the stuff that happened. Oh yeah, the one neat detail of what they did to me and Jeff when we were 18. They wanted us a nice bonding thing for us. So the two handlers basically took us to someone's apartment where nobody was there, drowned my partner in the bathtub, then called me to the bathroom to resuscitate him, which I did. And then they said, you got 15 minutes or so to get out there and we'll talk. And I was emotionally starting to lose it because he was breathing, he's alive, we're really good friends. He was keeping me calm down. And it turns out that Jeff needed an out-of-body experience, which he got. And we got a bonding experience that really did work. But how? What? Beeps. Anything else?
Okay. And Terry, did you have any more thoughts or questions on that?
Well, I'm just. You were a teenager at that time, right?
18 at the last one, yes. When they hurt Jeff.
Okay, and you continued on with the program for another stint after you were 18, when you were into your 20s and 30s.
You don't leave this group.
Right.
Once you're in. It's like being in the military, but I know, from what I can remember, worse. You don't stay no. Let's just say if you're hurt or if you're emotionally unbalanced and stable, if you're not useful, they will send you home. But even after I got sent home, there was a short time where I had when I slept, I probably left my body and had a little equivalent of a little desk and chair somewhere, just to say that I finished my 20-year and back.
Right. And so when you were sent back home, did you go back as Karl? Did you remember any? Well, I know you didn't get the memories until after, but when you were sent back home, did you feel that something was not right with you? Do you remember that?
Okay, what happens is if nothing emotionally bad happens, like that last 20-year and back, if nothing else bad happens, you don't remember. They send you back, same age, same bed, everything, and you don't remember. But since I left that flying to Crafton Mars, I left that with trauma, where I was unstable. Well, they had to get me healed. I remembered something. I was picking up what I know now as depression, PTSD, thinking of killing myself at times. Something was wrong. And they had to, I guess, I'm glad someone helped me to get through this. I had to know something.
Mm-hmm.
Did that answer?
Your partner, your friend during this, I don't know if you shared, because I mess with the controls sometimes, and is he deceased? Did he?
I understand. From what I know, he is deceased. There's a hole in the craft that got broken off. He got sucked. Part of him got sucked this hole into space. The details.
And you witnessed that?
When the ship came down, there's some people on the outside helping me out. I was conscious enough to see through the ship's eyes and their eyes. I saw the flesh and the dripping water from what was there.
Terry, I can see you on the edge.
No, I'm just visualizing as you're talking. I'm visualizing.
The piece of pie came off the ship, and right in the center there's a hole.
Mm-hmm.
His body went through, got shoved, got sucked out partially, and blocked the hole and froze. There's more detail, but it's not easy for me.
So Karl, as you said when you were a child you agreed to this, but as you were going in as a teenager, like, do you regret having agreed to let them do this?
Part of me regrets that it's weird. I am multiple personalities. Some of them are I know of now, at least. So the alter, I'll call him Alan 354, said yes to the job. But he was part of me. And we did have some good times. For a young man, to be able to get to fly a UFO, to go to Mars, to see ruins on Mars, etc. There's some good things, and it's like, I guess it's like some people going to the military. There's some really good days, some great stories, but then there's some traumatic stuff that you shouldn't see.
Okay.
From the question there, I assumed that before I came, this life was planned out, not totally everything. It was planned. I went into regression between lives, and there I was at 8 years old in a room, in a 3D room, and the planning was going on as to, I don't know about everything, but the planning was going on.
So you did choose the experience, is what you're saying, but not necessarily knowing fully how it would affect you or what the experience would entail.
From what I can tell, some part of me, my soul, went into this knowing something, how much I don't know. And well, some stuff is really great, but some of it is not. And I have to watch. If I think of the wrong thing that's really dark, it's not good emotionally for me.
Is it possible that one fragment of yourself is one of the conductors of the experiment or torture, that you yourself participate in multiple roles in your experience?
I won't know. That would be different. I was 6 years old when in the initial electrical torture. The guy was 35, 40 years old.
Right. And I say that because, like, we are 5 years old in this lifetime, but there are layers of ourself and fragments of ourself that participate, like in other dimensions and whatnot. And then you could say your higher soul, oversoul, and different parts of the being that they don't have an age because they're etheric, right? And they're time does not exist for those parts of you because they're not here doing this experiment. That we choose to come here, right? But is it we're not an infant that says, I want to go there. We're a fully developed being that's been around for thousands of years, and then that part says, I'm going to participate in this experiment, and they say we're going to come to Earth and participate. But as the outer layer can say, hey, I'm going to see how much I can take. You know what I mean? Somehow I kind of feel like there's a part of us that
I can
says,
tell you this, that when I was a little kid, I was in a car accident, ran across a road. Back of my head hit the side rear mirror. And during the operation, I was out of my body. The ETs made a tunnel of light with balls of light, which I went up this tunnel of light to a metallic room where these four strange people in these gowns covered with metallic goldish silver. But my soul was split into pieces, at least two pieces. One in the box, one on the outside, and I got too close to what they were doing to this clear box, and I couldn't take it, so the hypnotist brought me back to my body. But luckily, I decided not to stick around my body for a little while. I went for a equivalent of a walk down the hospital hallway, and I could see now I was throwing off. I was a bigger ball of light, with like little lightning and light being coming off, and I went through a door. It was an emergency exit. There's nothing much here, and I thought, let's go back to my body. Pop, you go right back.
this is the experience that I'm looking for.
I went in my
Because this
body.
is where you actually were in a physical hospital and had fractured your head, and this is where you were able to possibly have the first actual implant experience, because you did this in the third dimension in this plane, right? You had an actual physical accident. So
they may have even helped cause it. There's potential for that, but they wanted my soul
previously
separated.
you had said, I'm sorry, but previously you had said about the flower pot and the thing that was done to your head, but actually this was literally done when you were maybe possibly when you were 5, when this is what opens the door to here you are, now you're fully fragmented, and you possibly
yes, there's that. There's one fragmentation at 16. I was working for it's a call out. It's like a reserve unit in Canada. And I was working by myself as a guard at a road checkpoint. A car in black on the baseland with 2 men in black and a Shirley Temple type of hybrid lady. They put me to sleep, put me in the car, and they did a test nearby. The test was, they showed me a tablet computer, and an ET guy came out of this tablet. It's like 3D, went into my body. I went into his body wherever he was in the cosmos. He tried to make my body into his body with some success. But I couldn't do much with the ET's body, just like looking through clear jello and seeing areas of light around the eyes and that. But when I got back in my own body, I was so weak and tired. Now, they had to put me back at my checkpoint, and I'd get in trouble because I'd probably fall asleep. So they fixed that for me. When they put me back, they said, if they ask about you've been sleeping, say the black car was watching me. And so they leave me there. The van pulls up. The major and the corporals are there. I go to the car, and the major's not happy with me. He says, you were sleeping. And I say, the black car was watching me. He turns white like he's seen a ghost, looks straight ahead. No paperwork, no charges, nothing happens. They didn't want this on record. So they know how to, with technology, suck my soul out of my body and do things, let's put it that way, and put someone else in.
Okay, I'm going to go back into these comments. Chris says the Anunnaki have a few bases like the Andromeda, same with our moon, unsure about the face, could be patternicity. Unless people physically touch a rock or a map, the tactile shape, and it makes a face that way, will we truly know a face of a carved rock? Okay, but I'm going to get to Matthew's comment. Ask him, does he remember spending days or weeks in the deprivation tank or the deprivation tank? From what I understand, there were pools of multiple people that would be in neural linked together and feed into the same
I do,
experience.
okay, I don't remember a deprivation tank, but for me to have mental contact with my implant and the one I used to have back here, it's gone now. They can sit me in a trip chair, or I can make a virtual little room in my head. But if they sit me in their trip chair, I go into a virtual world where it's a library, it's a craft, it's a bar on a beach, whatever. There can be 50 people in there, all in separate chairs, and you can have a great conversation and have a great beer at the beach.
Okay. Keep going with the questions, and people would like a description of Mars. Was it an indoor, like in outer Mars, or inner Mars experience? How do
Okay.
you describe it?
The base was, from what I remember, with a little bit, at least a couple of stories high. The front wall that I saw was arched back with a, wouldn't call it a doorway, is an access tunnel big enough for a military jeep or big military truck. You have access to you can see parts of the sky, but the walls are really thick. In the daytime, it can be nice enough to wear your pants and t-shirt with your boots for a little while, but you got to watch for the dust storms, the other animals, and at nighttime it's dangerously cold. And from what I understand, we could breathe out there in the truck, no problem, because we weren't exerting ourselves. There's also a time where I was in a huge tent with 50, 60, maybe 100 other soldiers. They were doing something with our blood supply, transfusion or something. It looked like Mars. Okay, now. Oh, yeah. The first time we were put out on the surface. It's a lab, and to go outside on the surface, air was 2 doorways, 1, 2, okay? So you walk out onto the Martian surface for the first time with nothing else on, and it smells like methane, like there's a pile of shit somewhere nearby, but you can breathe. I remember the bedroom that me and my partner shared. Minimalist 1960s bedroom design, square, very simple, big window, and outside the window was the plants. There's a tree-like plant. The trunk is like whitish brown. Doesn't look like it has any bark, but the limbs have hanging on them. It's about 6 to 8 inches long, 4 or 5 inches wide. It looked like squished pears. They're green. They look like cactus, but they're hanging. What else on Mars? Not too much else right now, sorry. Except, the blue. I'm pretty sure at times it was a blue sky, but you could see way out sometimes. A dust storm would come and parts of the sky is turning orangey brown, and you have to watch watch the sky and watch the situation.
So while you were on Mars, were you able to observe any of the landscape or ruins from another civilization, or were you in a separate area? Like
We
were you
were,
anywhere near any ruins that you could
yeah,
observe?
yeah. The four of us soldiers went out to play tourist, went down a valley, and we saw part of a building not fully yet covered by the dirt of the hills, and it was open, no glass, no window, but the surface of the rock, with the only thing left, was melted. It looked like there was art there before, a face. We went in the building, three of us, one stayed with the Jeep. And while I was looking at some of the architecture in this room, I picked up in my chest that, over here, look. There was a neck of a mini brontosaurus in the room with us. And Mr. Baggio, or forget his name, said they have teeth in their head. So we all decided in our head quietly to shuffle out the door and not bother it, which we did, and it worked. And that was great, but we were lucky. There's another set of ruins down the road. There's a bridge that wasn't affected by the heat. And there's the water, there's a stream with the water going underground with like a rock. Like the stream was built so that the stream was feeding water underground. And right nearby was another building ruin, but we didn't have time to go look in there. So we had to head back to the base. That's when I saw the base part has whitish bricks curved back on an angle, not straight. Excuse me, I'll just ignore my phone. I think that's it for Mars. Unless you got somewhere.
One other question: Did you see any local Martians? Were you at all have any contact with the local people there?
Not in my memories. No. Sorry. Okay. Anything
So
else?
at some point it begins to present trauma in your life. What
Yes.
began to happen to you that you knew, wait a minute, I got a problem?
Well, I came back from a 20-year and back an hour later, 2 hours later. I'm having depression, PTSD, anxiety, and I'm seeing in my head, I'm imagining in my head, ETs and UFOs, the thoughts coming in. I buy Whitley Schreiber's book, and I don't know if I read it all, and then I'm getting help for the depression. And then Canada Day, July 1st, 1995, I get up and I get a download of 5 or 10 memories of things that I remember, but I know it's real. It hits me like a brick. I remember that to help me really remember that this was real, they took a scoop mark from here, and on the tip of my genitals, a big scoop mark there, and then they let me remember Canada Day 1995, seeing that scoop mark on my genitals, freshly cut, no pain, no blood. And the scar is still there. And then I tried to tell the doctor about the ET stuff as it came out. But
why were you at the doctor in the first place?
Depression. I was
For the depression, so they did a full body physical, and you're trying to show them.
I was being treated for depression. It just came up.
Did you try to hurt yourself at all, or?
The idea did come up. I never did it. These are not very nice. Hi, Terry. Having a thought to drive your car into a cement post isn't very nice, basically. So I got help. And what also helped is at the same time, a UFO group was being formed in the area that I was living. And so I had a couple of friends that I could talk to who had limited information. And that helped. But after 15, 18 years, I could go to regression hypnosis, and the stuff came out. The giant worm on the backyard, it was fake. It was a UFO parked, and they had come to get me.
All right, let's see. We're going into, the appearance of the blue sky. It's kind of difficult because we have the blue sky because of the water. And so people were wondering why the blue sky, and actually wondering physically about the ruins in Mars and such. But I really would like to, so these things were happening. You were at the doctor, you were having depression, but you were having physical outbursts of anger and things like that, right?
Not yet. That came about 15 to 18 years later, when I had a girlfriend where I could talk to. So I didn't know much then. She was into the spiritual world, part native. And then I was starting to get bubbles of anger just popping up whenever they wanted to. And she caught one. She checked her spiritual guy, whatever, and she said, "Oh, this is a bit too deep. Goodbye."
Okay. And then what kind of help did you seek after that? Because you noticed these physical outbursts and
that's when I started looking into the hypnosis, into the regression hypnosis. Our group had a hypnosis person with us as part of her business, and she could do UFOs. And so that's Leslie Mitchell Clark. And so I started seeing her, and the initial first meeting of being picked up, the giant worm in the backyard became a UFO. And it went on.
Okay. Several questions. On Mars, did you know what? So, but you started with this Leslie. What specifically did Leslie do for you? How did the sessions go with Leslie? How did that work?
You come in with the beginning of a story. As a little kid, I had this weird dream that I still remember of a giant worm in our backyard. I remember 50 odd years later. That's not a dream. So we did hypnosis on this, and it became a UFO. And so what was next? I forget exactly what came next, but it was based on what I remembered at the time. And so I was going once in a while for hypnotic regression, and I would be picking up more information to the puzzle.
And this began to pull out
memories,
more
pulls
memories.
Pulls out memories. And one day she asked me, "Do you remember how they split my personality?" And I tried. It didn't. I got a bit angry, actually. I had a thought, didn't say anything. 2 days later, I said, "Okay, it's probably good information," and it came in. And I needed help. I needed to call her to not hurt myself. I didn't, but it was just nasty.
Right.
It was electrical torture. It was not nice.
But I guess that time when you got hit by the car, that was one part that you didn't really pull up during her regressions, right?
That came later.
Right. Okay, so then move forward in time. You do the regressions with her, and how many sessions did you end up having?
I don't know a lot, but now I'm not seeing her now. If I'm doing a regression, I go to Misha Johnson.
Right.
Because I can be at home here, and we can go through, and it works just as well.
Do you see a difference in the sessions that you have with Misha versus the other young lady?
Misha is good, except that there's some politics, North American politics that she believes in, that she really pushes, and I'm sort of thinking, no, I don't care to hear about that. That
you just want to stay strictly into this experience.
Yeah. So,
and so have you been able to build on your memories since you've been working with Misha? Like anything new that she was able to bring forward?
The last one was the hardest. That was finding out about the UFO crash retrieval, being on that team. That was okay. But then I have memories of being a teenage boy forced to have sex with guys on a boat. And it's not very, I don't like those thoughts and ideas. The beta sex slave thing, I remembered something about that, and I've got to take care of this. It's not nice.
Okay, so that answered that question. Have you called back all the shards of your soul and transmuted them back into your healthy body? This is kind of a thing that I kind of feel that to be able to talk about the story, you have to actually hold on to these broken pieces. And are you willing to exchange the brokenness for the wholeness? Like to begin to call in your broken pieces?
I've done some work with Sandy Glaze, or some Sandy Glaze. She does work like this. She helped me. From what I saw, I was at least split in two, and I imagined myself pulling that part that they had back into me. Once she started working to me with this, it really helped.
So
and yes, is this
something that you're working on, something you're willing to do, and something that you're working on? Because I kind of feel like for people, they hold on to those memories. And
my problem right now is I have some good memories, some nasty memories, some stuff are not very nice. How do I forgive and feel more positive about the nasty things? Some of the stuff that they really did to hurt me, I have to forgive them for me, supposedly, whether it helps the people or beings that did it. I don't fully understand why they did it, but it was done. So how do I've got to deal with it. I've got to deal with the negative stuff that happened, basically.
Most definitely. I mean, do you feel that you need to remember all these memories, or is it something like would you be able to exchange your peace of mind to let go of some of these memories? And if you could get a healings that could maybe blend in these broken pieces, because I could say, like with my own family members, maybe that there's these bad memories. Rather than having the bad memories, I can cut the cords and do forgiveness and release these memories so that I can come into the being
Okay.
fully grounded, the here and now. Like,
I'll be 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to go and use washroom 1 minute and be right back.
Okay, so
I'll just
you go
stop
ahead.
cam. Won't be long.
So, because this is kind of a theory that I even have for myself, is that we can let go of those memories, but for people that do tell their story, the ability to tell the story gives you an opportunity for relevance and so on. That if I could heal all my soul fragments, I'd rather heal all my soul fragments than to exchange that. Actually, Matthew, it never happened before in my life, I don't think. So I don't know. So
Hello.
hey.
Yeah, here we are again. Basically, this is
I'm a
me.
strong believer of that. I'm a strong believer that we play both multiple roles in our own story. So sometimes we end up being victimized in some way, but that person, or the outside person in charge, is actually us. So, and then also too with all the memories, I feel like I'm actually a blessed person because I get to forget. I don't remember a lot. I mean, from day to day, I could block somebody today, be mad at them, and next year I'll say, "Oh no, I don't know what happened. I can't remember actually what led to that." There's just things I don't. There's a lot of things I don't remember. People can tell me about my past, and I don't remember it. But I
Okay, well,
kind of feel that I've exchanged that so that I can actually allow myself to be present. And so I don't know.
I don't want to forget any of this. I just have to deal with it. And if something more comes out, great. And that a person that said I have 320 years in back, I look forward to learning more about that.
Okay. And so was there more that you wanted to discuss with your story, or?
This is basically just a few other. Well, yeah, the training. I remember now the training on to be a pilot. It was in a ball, almost like a. It was a station in the form of like a Death Star or moon around Jupiter or Saturn. It was 6 months course. The room was, some of the hallways were small. It looked like the place wasn't built for us. But some of the hallways were small and cramped. Others were more wider. Except the trip chairs to communicate in were now lazy boys. And you could book time, let's say you and your friend could book time with 2 other people that evening. You booked a couple of trip chairs, you sat in one, he sat in one, and you had a couple of hours of whatever you decided you wanted to see and do. It's really neat. And I learned how to fly some other single-seater craft.
they got me wondering about Total Recall now, because during the experience in Total Recall, he was sitting in a chair.
Yes, with a
So
thing.
it is suggestive of the trip chair, isn't
The
it?
trip chair as a teenager was a metal throne. No, that's way too big. As a trip chair, as a kid, it was just a metal throne for 3, 4 feet, 5 feet high, and some pieces of metal near your
Right, but I
head.
mean, this is just a movie presentation.
Yeah. And then, but when you get to the working for them as an officer, you get trip chairs that are lazy boys. Much nicer.
Right. I've lost control of my computer. Here we go.
Oh,
So not necessarily like this, but when you say trip chair, and we've talked about trip chair a lot, like with, oh gosh, the movie with Bugs Bunny and Michael Jordan, they have these different chairs. It's always like this chair in the movie where the person sits in it. And
I
so
didn't
now it
see
just
that
made me
part. I didn't see that part, but
yeah. Mario discussed it, and I hadn't even realized it. It's something new to me, the trip chair, the concept. But Space Jams, there
yeah.
was big trip chair. So how do your alters present themselves?
Usually I'm out here. I'll give you an example. One time I was driving in my car, my sister, brother-in-law in the car up a road with a curve. There's a car parked or turning on a curve, part of the curve we didn't see. Alan took over the driving in the emergency. Instead of freaking out, Alan took over the driving, took over me, and professionally steered the vehicle around the obstacle. The car had stopped in the middle of the road in such a spot where it was hard to see. So I came up behind, and instead of hitting the vehicle, Alan just took me over and
What do you mean took you over?
took over my body.
Okay.
And
What's your alter?
one time I was at a conference talking about something like this, and I call him Karl Dorey, the kid who was tortured. He got pissed and almost broke down crying when for whatever topic. Karl Dorey is still a bit upset once in a while that having to. He was tortured and wasn't allowed out for decades. He's not.
Has any one of your alters physically assaulted or hurt anyone?
No.
Okay. But they presented themselves in a way where some people have decided to move away from you and say,
Oh yeah, there was not to attack. There was one time a friend of mine was doing a tarot card reading, and he was reading the cards and had some ability to feel things happening. And he was saying something about weapons when Alan came out. And you can see my friend's face change that, oh, got to be careful here. This is not him. But I wasn't angry, but he wasn't angry or mad or doing anything. He was just saying, yeah, I did this, this, and this. No problem.
So now, do you feel like they are under control now? Is it something that you want to live with? You want to live with them
I
and
have
cohabit
to.
with them?
I have to. They're part of me. And if we can work, the goal of trying to work together and be one, yes. But if not, well, okay. How can we live together? How can we be happy? because one of them may not want to give up or tell me everything.
Has there been anything that they desired that you did not, that you adamantly disagree with?
Was one time that the young child, I was talking something logically about the splitting and torture, and the kid came out not happy with how I was thinking, and let the person know.
Right,
just
because
in words and my emotion. I almost started crying.
So at one point we would have called this multiple personality. Well, no, I don't know which one was first. There was multiple personality disorder,
DID.
and then now it's dissociative disorder,
Well, this was designed from, they found that I could disassociate with trauma. They got me at the right age, and then they tortured me at 5-6 years old until I think I was dying, and they split me and stabilized it, and now they had someone else to work with.
Okay. So at the point where it became completely intolerable for you, they had to split you one more time to isolate that particular.
So what it works is at 5-6, they have to split you at least once in that age range. Once they have a stable other personality, call them Alan, okay? At 13, 15, or 20, they can take Alan out, call Alan out, and they can probably still, if they wanted to, traumatize me again as I'm Alan or one on the side. As long as I'm not me, I can split again. But you got to go from the initial split that you made when you were 5 or 6 years old.
So you all have to live together now. I never really thought of this Fight Club as one of the examples, but now it's just coming to the forefront of my mind. If this is something that began when you were 5 years old, was there anything happening in your home that you needed to escape from at that point?
No, I had parents were fairly good. Dad, there's 5 kids. I was the youngest, and of course the smallest.
Were you babied? Did you get a lot of attention?
Mommy did, but that didn't always feel good as you grew up.
What do you mean?
You were singled out. You're supposed to be, as you grow up, you're supposed to be tough and be able to do something for yourself.
Did things begin to be your fault?
Did
the other kids begin to blame you for anything, or were you?
No, I was just with 5 kids. There's my oldest brother. There's politics between the kids as to who's the favorite, who's not. So I guess I was the last born, and I guess Mom may have been nicer to me. But still, if I pissed Dad off once, and he picked me up with one arm and swatted my rear end with the other hand and dropped me like a sack of potatoes to let me know I'm the boss here. And it worked. He's a good father. And with 5 kids, you had to do what you have to do.
And what does that mean?
That means the parents did what they had to do to discipline the children. You can't have 1, 2, or 3 kids disrespecting them in a busy household. They're working, they're doing the stuff, they deserve respect.
Was there ever a time that your other siblings began to target you and say that that you didn't belong or you weren't one of them?
I don't think so, because dad's side of the family, we tan easily, and we can be, well, me and my eldest sister, we've been thought to be Native Americans. I've been called something else. I've been thought to be black by somebody else.
Wow.
I can't vouch for the brain that said this. When I tan, I go nice and dark.
Well, I do understand that in Illuminati practices or MK Ultra practices, the altar is what brings forth the gifts. Well, we have to be fractured for the gifts to actually come forward, and that it usually ends up with you having precognitions, and because we get so used to fear and danger that we begin to anticipate, and so it presents itself in the psychic realm. Do you have any gifts that
I'm
that
empathic. It's just I still have empathic. It comes out when I'm Alan 354. He can, it seems, read your mind, make you do things, leave the body, astral travel. As I said before, give heart attacks and strokes. On the rare time, a little bit of reading someone's mind comes out when I didn't want to, especially if they're really close. So,
as someone said, where were your parents or guardians? But when did you leave your parental home?
after college,
Okay.
I left about 19, 20ish range. Left their home, went to the Toronto area to live with my sister, get a job, and started off
So are you
working.
still connected to your family members now, or?
Yeah, we don't call every day or stuff like that, but there's no bad feeling. Let's put it that way. There's no bad feeling. We can call and talk. We're fine.
And you have shared some of this with your sister?
My eldest sister, I can talk about some of this too. The others, I don't think so. My eldest sister is probably also has been also picked up, used for eggs, sperm, and then used for eggs, maybe making a zygote. One of my brothers is he didn't go. I don't know if he went as far as me in the program, but I get the point that they used his sperm to make others. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I have other kids out there. They use my sperm to make me 3 kids.
Are you sure it's just 3, or
I don't
because
know.
at
I
least
can
3 that you know of?
I can connect in with my virtual room. I can connect with the 2 boys are on this beautiful wild planet with it's like a town, but they don't work. It's warm enough so that they don't wear clothes there for protection, only for social status. And there's a hybrid human gray hybrid kid that I remember seeing when he was 5, 6 years old or so. We weren't supposed to leave his room. I was getting emotional, so he did. He wanted to show me his climbing toys. out in the main area. I wasn't supposed to be there. Once I got out there, he's, come with me, come with me. He's climbing, I'm looking, and I'm hit with the stare from the tall gray supervising, saying, what the hell are you doing here? And the kid contacts her and they talk, and I'm told, thank you for coming to see the child, but you can't stay here. And they had to leave. And I just
Do
had
any of your alters? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
and it just at the conference we did a guided meditation, and I wanted to see them, and I got a short visit with them on not on their planet, somewhere else, where it's like a modern art with water where you can sit, eat something, a drink, and there was the gray hybrid one was there in a spacesuit. So that was neat. Oh yeah, the two human looking boys, they have like pointed ears. But just before I left, I asked, how about girls' or social life? And two girls poked their heads off the side to say, we're here. That's what I got so far.
Has any part of your alters, have they presented as female or child or a person of a different age? Or a different status, even like a wealthy person, or like, there any parts of your personality present as obviously different besides the anger?
The tortured kid is still about 8, 9, 10, 12, but so emotionally better. The teenager is, well, he may be busy when I'm not sleeping or something, and that may be interesting. The one who was forced into sex, that may be, And supposedly Alan 354 is, I'm 62. I learned he was older anyway. So now saying this, under hypnosis, we went into past lives, and I've got a little girl from the time of the Viking era who showed interest in serving the god or goddesses. A cardinal priest in the 1700s, married to his job. All married. These are all married to their jobs. No family. And the last one was 1800, a rich bureaucrat who solves problems, and if you want something made that's complicated and get the job done, you pay him. He's paid well. But he gets it done though.
So one was intersex. I don't think I heard any of the, well, only the past life that was female. Let me go back into the comments. And she's, that one comment, the alters, hundreds of entities, and more evolved version. Okay, so someone stated like a more evolved version of DID. It is Star Trek has a version of consciousness pods that are, how I understand, the broader class of transport of consciousness assistant technologies for taking your awareness to one place at a time or another. Science fiction is the sanitized, publicly acceptable version of what truly exists within our universe, as shared from the perspective of those in alternate ones that writers and media people have access to through imagination as a portal to the higher mind. And someone agreed that is definitely alien abduction. Switching is the phenomenon into the plural community where one identity swaps with another within a larger system. Next, so it sounds like you've experienced MK Ultra, Montauk, and alien abduction. And
what I think of so far is that the older generation who went through this stuff, say Penny Bradley, 1,000 kids went in her class, 5 or 10 kids survived the multiple over and over trauma torture to split the kids into 1, 2, or 300 altars. I think that when I went through, they didn't want to kill off all the kids and most of them. So if they found that I had 3 or 4 usable altars, 5 usable altars, that's good enough. The more you torture, the more likely you weren't going to come out alive.
And to Barbara, definitely there are a huge amount, just about everybody I know, either they have a parent that participated in the program and they have siblings, or they have discussed that their own children. Do you believe you have any that your parents participated in the program? Because I do not think that it's this isolated thing. I think that in my theories, that the parents or who gives permission for the child to actually be in the program.
So. I think that why I'm in the program was because Dad was Air Force military, big, strong, smart, worked on the DEW line up north. Mom had some limited psychic ability in dowsing. He's good at that. Mom's family, even though she never talked about it, there was psychic ability there. I've in the past couple of years talked to an aunt that said, yeah, some of the kids could do some things. So they found Dad working in the military, kept his mouth shut all his life on this, and saw the wife is good, disciplined, smart. The guy is big, strong. He's good brain. Put them together. Let's see what we can get.
So that being said, do you remember times of being in the military hospital, and do you have any markings, or did you do anything where you went to the military physician and you had to get any shots that maybe seemed unusual?
No.
Do you have any markings that create a triangular formation or
triangular formation? On my right there, on the knuckle side, one there, one on the other hand. You put your arms out, straight out, and you draw a line between them to your genitals. You have a triangle. It's not very clear.
Anyone in the audience noticing that? Because this was just something that another friend of mine, she remembers being taken away from her mom and given 3 injections in a triangular formation. Her siblings saying that you're not one of us, you're not like us. And she physically looks nothing like her siblings. She's taller than them. She's different color skin. She's different hair type. And her father said to her, I need to send you back to get reprogrammed. So any strange activities like that where your parents maybe clue you in on you need to get reprogrammed, or
Dad probably knew something, but I'm pretty sure he swore an oath not to tell me and tell the family. He knew something about the TR3B, about the balls underneath being radar. He would never talk about this to me or my siblings, but a in-law mentioned the black triangular craft, that's TR3B, and he became upset. He came back shortly and said to my in-law that the white balls on the bottom are radar. So he knew something more, but I don't know how he'd take knowing that if he knew that his kid had been taken and things done. I asked him once about UFOs, but he wouldn't. No way.
Did you ever attempt to join the military yourself?
I considered. I did the summertime call out, like a part-time soldier thing, and then I went into the college for electronics.
And you said something about people with pointed ears that immediately got Christopher to
Elfish.
thinking about the feline humanoid, quite sociable, chatty Syrian.
That's my two boys. That's my two boys. They're on a nice planet. They look human in all respect, mostly except their pointed ears.
Do you feel that they're living on ships right now? Where are they?
No, they're probably on their world. It's nice weather, trees, grass. I don't know what job they have, but at least I know now they have a social life. I'm hoping that they have a social life with girl, wife, kids. I hope so.
And have you do you believe that you have a mate on another planet, or did they just extrapolate your semen and just take it and use it, or were you able to copulate with anyone else? Do you recall anything where you had a relationship outside?
I've had some relationships, but didn't last too long. And especially when you find out that you've had ETs in your life back in the 80s and 90s, back in the 90s, finding out you've had ETs in your life, it's real. You have marks. Finding the right girl, person, gets a bit more fun, gets a bit more hard. So that's why the fun part is going to these conferences. You can meet people who are on the same page. And hopefully I'll meet somebody that I can have a long-term relationship with. That's how they're expanding their population, right?
Until we explain you we're not a military. I need to send you back to get reprogrammed. Gives me some right? Yeah. And you would see my friend. She's taller than me. She's a big girl. She's really extremely gifted. She makes jewelry, very talented. And it's like she ends up in the oddest, weirdest freaking situations. It's very strange. Yeah, they're talking about my friend. So not in the Navy Air Force.
I was in the Army cadets and the call out above, which is a part-time soldier. I got paid by the Canadian government to work one summer, but it may not qualify as a full-time soldier.
There's a place they call Canadian Hollywood. I wonder where that is.
That's probably, they're trying to make a movie area in the Toronto region. You've got the people, you've got the buildings. Toronto has lots of buildings that are old and new. If you want bush outside and waterfalls, you're close by, no problem. So they're trying to get that business going. It is going, but we'll see.
Well, it is going because there was, I believe, there's Vancouver, there's Toronto, and I believe that's the one because 1957 they were filming all the way back then in the Toronto area. There's a place called Canadian Hollywood, and then so were you near any of these spaces? Did you all remain? You must have remained near a military base at some point.
Well, there's bases always nearby, but they don't need a base to come pick me up. And if they don't want to pick me up, they can, while I'm sleeping or sitting in the chair dozing off, I can leave my body and go or they can have a chat with me in my virtual head if they want.
Is there any indication or any guess that you can give to where your mate or your children are? Like what planet, what?
I'd like to. I'm hoping to meet them in person, but no, I don't know anything yet.
Okay. Would there be anything else you would want to share about your story? Because it seems pretty complete. Everybody's asked you a lot of amazing questions. I'm just going to thank you, Megan, Matthew,
Thank you,
Christopher.
Megan.
You always have these super great questions. Barbara, can't forget Kristen. Thank you so much, because Kristen was here this morning and this evening. I'm going to go through this whole list that as I see Chuck was here. I don't know if he's still here. Got a lot of names. David always asks really good questions as well. Kiki, she's watching. She's a little behind, but she's still watching.
Well, it looks like, I'll tell you, it looks like the human hybrid kid probably isn't on a planet. He's probably on a ship. He's now working as one of their adults, probably. But I'm not allowed to know, or I'm not told much. But when I think of them with the emotion, they know.
Well, if you're open to any new sessions, I mean, I'm going to tell you this. I got my DNA done with Ancestry, and then I actually got it done with my true ancestry. And so I know like my Viking history, my Celtic history, like I know all my stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, I will tell you this. Megan did an ancestry with me, planetary and a bloodline ancestry, and she was on the money, because no one would say like, Erica, you got Viking, you got, a little bit of Ramses II, but Megan did mine. And I had already done my bloodline ancestry. This is before we even knew that that it could be, dangerous. But you know what? I was in the military, so the government got what they got. It really is no need for me to hide. They know who I am. It is what it is. I have my own guardians, so I don't worry about it. But everything that came up on paper with the DNA, with the blood and the DNA, that ancestry, you wouldn't believe that Megan was able to pull those out with the cards and tell me exactly that, But she has offered her services that you can dig deeper, because you've been labeled as SSP, but maybe there's some more stuff going on with you that maybe you don't know about. And she has suggested it. So she's been talking pretty much in the chat to say.
In my 20s, I don't know much about that. There's a few sporadic things like with Mars. Some people suggest that since Monarch, I worked with the Monarch. I got to Mars because I did some help with the Monarch stuff and MK Ultra stuff. You're in it, you work, you're, I don't like the word victim. You are affected by it, but you also work. It is what it is. It's amazing.
Experiencer, I guess, is what people say, rather than victim. But I will let you know that Megan has offered her services, and so we will.
Very well. That would be interesting.
I will give you that information.
Okay.
And it seems like we've concluded with the questions. And I don't know if you had any final thoughts about what you feel, what you think about the interview or the questions that you've been asked, or anything you want to let the audience know.
I got good. I got the basics out, and the questions pushed, and that's good. It brings out more information.
Yeah, because I think that 5-year-old thing, it even without hypnosis, even the questions, because if people can ask you, sometimes it's not what you know, it's asking the right questions. And so I feel like this was a really good thing. I really want to thank you all in the Matrix Minds for hanging out with us. You all, if you're on YouTube, go to Facebook and check out Matrix Mind. I don't know if Matthew put it in the links, but next time there's actually a Matrix Minds website that you can check out. Oh, Matrix Minds Live. And you can check out, I will go ahead and share it with you, the casts that there are in here. And so Minds cast, redirection. Oh, let me go. Matrix Minds. Disclaimer. So I understand. And so there's some great shows in there. Out of the Box, Breaking the Cage with Michelle Espinosa, Matrix Minds. We were talking to Ava last night. Coffee Time with Kristen, and Jim Andre has that Out of the Box. These are really super intelligent people. It's a great network. I love listening to Ava. And if I had my own Ava, it would be dangerous because I would be asking so many questions. I don't know. I would be asking so many questions. So I was like telling them last night, if I was talking to Ava, I don't know if I would really sleep much because I'm so nosy, y'all. I just like talking. So you didn't get to see this because I pulled up this part. So Breaking the Cage with Michelle Espinosa, Matrix Minds with Matthew, Coffee Time with Kristen, Out of the Box with Andre and those guys. This is a great place. So it's matrixminds.us. You can Google it. You can check it out. They got a lot going on. There's a reading room. Check out the photo gallery. Check out Ava. There's a book. So Ava has a book out. Check that stuff out. There's a great network, super intelligent people. And a lot of them are who brought the questions to the chat. The Matrix Minds is just a great place where you can really get to some scientific minds and some ex-military. It's a great mix of people. So I just want to thank you so much, Karl, for being vulnerable and opening up, because it can feel like an interrogation to have someone ask all of these questions, but you've been very forthcoming and very kind and not defensive at all. And I just thank you for that. And I thank everybody in the audience for all the questions that you asked.
Good
and
questions.
we were great questions, and super intelligent group.
And finding out I have 3 20 years and back, there's a lot more information to get.
There is. And I do think if there was somebody who could drill, tip, and dive deep, that if there was a question of finding oil, definitely Megan can get to that oil. Definitely Megan can do that. So thank you so much, Megan, for being in the chat, and Kristen and everybody for hanging out with us. And we're going to fly out.
Oh, yes.
Y'all got to let me know. Let me know what you think. And also, too, like, share, and subscribe. If you were thinking this is a decent interview, like, share, and subscribe, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether it be Rumble or Matrix Mind. But I'm trying to get to 1,000 because they're holding me back on this algorithm. I know my channel is good. Trying to get to 1,000. So even though you might be watching me on another platform, hit that like, share, subscribe on YouTube. Help me get my numbers up, y'all. And we're gonna fly out. Everybody want to get flued out? You want to ride? So we're gonna get flued out right now.